So thanks very much for joining us for the launch of the Digital Culture Network. My name is Owen Hopkin. I'm the Director of Audience Insight and Innovation at the Arts Council, and I'm very proud to say that the Digital Culture Network sits with me and the team, and you'll be hearing a lot more about them over the coming minutes or so from colleagues from Arts Council, from DCMS, from Google, as well as tech champions and some of the organisations that they've supported. But before we get into that, we've just got a short video to show that just kind of gives a bit of an overview of what the Digital Culture Network does and kind of what to expect from them over the coming months.
Have you always wanted to unleash the digital potential for your cultural organisation? Whether you're a museum, gallery, theatre or arts organisation, the Digital Culture Network has been created to provide the digital skills, support and training to help you reach your digital ambitions. Big or small, the Digital Culture Network aims to bring every arts and cultural organisation into the digital age with resources, group workshop and one-to-one support delivered by industry specialists. So you want to start taking advanced bookings online? Or develop a social media strategy that reaches new and diverse audiences? Or maybe you want to gain more general knowledge and confidence to advance in an increasingly digital age. We have the team for you. Comprised of 9 tech champions based throughout the country, the Digital Culture Network have expertise in search engine optimization, web design, CRM, ticketing, e-commerce, social media, and content creation. Together, they are able to help you realise your digital ambitions and unleash your true potential. For more information, please contact the Digital Culture Network.
Great, so that's the overview. So firstly, I'd like to invite Francis Runacres to the stage. Francis is the Executive Director for Enterprise and Innovation at the Arts Council, and he's going to give his take on the initiative and what it means for ACE. So Francis.
Thanks, Owen. So this week I turned 60 and I've been working for approximately 38 years. When I started work, the technology that I had access to, that I was given, was limited to a fixed line telephone on my desk, a calculator, and if I filled in a very special form in triplicate, and I mean fill it in manuscript style, I could send a telex message. Young people in the audience, you can Google to find out what a telex was. Clearly, I was not born digitally native. However, I'm really excited about the digital arena and the stuff that we're doing here. And the fact that the Arts Council sees this as a real priority. It's incredibly important to us that the arts and culture sector makes the most of what technology and digital has to offer. So we're kind of keen to see that the arts and culture sector take advantage of the opportunities that the technology and digital world present, both for the creation of art and experiences. So as the film said, whether you're a museum, a gallery or a theatre company, so to make use of it in that, but also then to make use of data, and I think this is absolutely paramount, to understand your audience. That power that data can give you when you analyse it and use analytics on it, to understand your audience, why they like your work, why they don't, and so forth. And then thirdly, to help organisations become more resilient by using technology and data at the heart of their business model. It seems to us really important that those three mesh together. So the content, the audience, and the business model. I mean, it's great that you produce some content digitally, but you've got to think about what does it do? How are the audience going to interact with it? Are they going to like it? And then what impact does it have on your business model? So over the past 3 months, over the past 12 months, we've created 3 new director-level posts to develop our thinking on this and develop how we take advantage of it and how we support organisations in the arts and culture sector to exploit the many opportunities and of course challenges that must exist in relation to technology and digital. So we have a new Director of Arts, Tech and Innovation, Tonya Nelson, Director of Audience Insight and Innovation, Owen Hopkin, who you've met already, and a Director of Business Improvement and Innovation, which cover those three bases I talked about earlier. That's Nick Saunders. They're here today. Do please take an opportunity to talk to them after the formal bit of the thing. If you've got any burning kind of issues to tell them about, do so, please. At the same time as we've been doing this, of course, DCMS, our sponsor ministry, has also been focused on the creative potential of technology. And in March of this year, they published the Culture as Digital report, which sets out an ambitious framework for how culture and technology can work together to increase participation and boost the capacity of cultural organisations. You see the resonance there with how we're talking about it. It's a slightly different language, but we're both very keen on this area. I should at this point reveal that Tonya Nelson, now our Director of Arts, Technology and Innovation, was one of the strand leads for that report. And she led on the section in that report, if you've seen it, on skills, IP and business models. So the question, is that a gamekeeper turned poacher or the other way round? You can talk to Tonya and ask her about that later. The policy commitments that emerged from the Culture is Digital report resonated with our priorities for the sector. First, the creation of a digital code and maturity index, as mentioned in the report. This is something that we're working on at the moment. It will be a self-evaluation tool that allows organisations to measure their current digital maturity and set targets for further development. So very much a tool for them, for organising the sector, for you. And then in the autumn, we will launch that in partnership with the National Lottery Heritage Fund. So this is something we're doing across the cultural sector, something that DCMS was very keen that we did in that report, that they saw the whole cultural sector working together. Here's an example of it. Second, the Digital Culture Network, which we're here to officially launch today. You've seen some of it on the film, but I'll reinforce the messages there. 9 tech champions. That's at the heart of it, very important. They bring a different range of skills around content, CRM, e-commerce, web design, the kinds of things you saw in the film. And they are based in our 9 regional offices, but work as a national team. For me, perhaps that's the most important part of it. I think the idea that the tech champions are close to where the organisations are is critical, will be critical to the success of this. But they need to work together as a team. It's no good just having them as an individual person in a single office. Those 9 working together, the synergistic benefits of that will be considerable. They're supported by a senior manager, Tina Hill, who's here, and an officer, Paul Holmes. What that represents is a significant investment by the Arts Council. Total cost 1.3 million, something like that. And I suppose it is evidence of our commitment to the technology and digital importance of it. Many of the tech champions, I think possibly all of them perhaps, are not from the arts and culture sector. So they've come in from outside. And we think that experience of other sectors, of different sectors, as well as their digital skills, will be the thing that will better help the arts and culture sector to develop digitally. I think the sense that their people are bringing new ideas and asking the question, why do you do it like that in the arts? And I think that's really important to challenge thinking. Whilst they're absolutely outward-facing, they're there to support arts organisations, arts and cultural organisations, we're absolutely convinced they'll have an influence on our thinking on how we might develop, how we might do more things to support the sector. So they're not there to make the Arts Council more digitally mature, but we suspect they will influence our thinking. What's their purpose? What are they about, if you like? Well, it's one-to-one support for funded organisations and the wider sector. I think that's really important, one-for-one. They go and see people. They will produce resources and tools to help organisations on their digital journey. They will look to partner with technology companies, technology organisations to deliver training regionally, reflecting key regional trends and needs. And they will facilitate partnerships and collaborations between funded organisations and the tech centre and others. That's quite a tall order, let's be honest about it. That's an awful lot for them to do, but we're excited about already what we can see they'll be able to do. This is the official launch of the DCN, but it's followed a 2-month pilot phase where we've tested its operation. And we're enormously pleased to report that already over 100 organisations have been in touch with the tech champions. During this phase, we also ran 2 training days in partnership with Google Arts and Culture in Bristol and Manchester, and over 130 organisations attended, learning about content strategy, the use of data, search engine optimisation. And Louisa from Google Arts and Culture will talk a little bit more about this shortly. But we're very pleased to announce that we're continuing that partnership today with Google. While we welcome the sharing of knowledge from outside the sector, we also realise that there's plenty within it already. And then that can be shared too, from Arts Council sector support organisations like Culture 24 and The Space, and some of the world-leading organisations within our portfolio like the RSC and the Royal Opera House. And there's a role for them to play in helping with the digital maturity of the sector. Finally, to everyone here, we encourage you to meet and chat with our tech champions. They are all here today, and to see what help and assistance they could give your organisation. And then spread the word to other funded organisations in the sector not here today. The tech champions are open for business. I'm very excited about the opportunity that they offer us, and they offer to the arts and culture sector, and I hope you will too. Thank you.
I'm extremely excited about the launch of such an important initiative, the Arts Council Digital Culture Network. This one project really pulls together the 3 themes of the Culture is Digital report that we published. Those were audiences, digital skills, and future digital strategy. I'm really grateful to the Arts Council for the enthusiasm and leadership you've shown in developing this. And it is amazing that over 100 organisations have already been in touch, even before the formal launch. I'm also delighted to hear about the partnership with Google Arts and Culture, which is an excellent start to the network's remit of bringing external expertise into the sector. The progress which has been made on the Culture is Digital commitments is really largely down to the energy, ingenuity and passion from all the report's commitment holders and their willingness to share ideas, expertise and resources for the benefit of the sector as a whole. So I just want to express my personal thanks, and thanks on behalf of our Arts Minister, who would have been here had she not suffered a bereavement last week, to thank everybody who's been involved, and we really look forward to working with you in the future. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Emma. So next, I'd like to invite Louisa Matza, who's the Head of Operations at Google Arts and Culture, who's going to talk a little bit about a very exciting partnership, which you've heard a little bit about already today.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for being here with us today. Well, I just wanted to spend a moment together with you to celebrate this very special day. It's a real honor and a privilege to be here with you today. It's a special day for us all, and especially for us at Google Arts and Culture. But before we talk about that for a moment, let's remind ourselves about what Google Arts and Culture is and does. Google Arts and Culture is a digital platform with the goal to make more art and more culture more accessible to anyone, anywhere for free, and to be a growth engine for the cultural sector. We've been working on Google Arts and Culture since 2011. We started this platform as a very, very small initiative. Just 17 museums back then came on board. Today, there are over 2,000 cultural organizations from more than 80 countries all around the world. They've all joined Google Arts and Culture with the same enthusiasm, the same ambition to make more culture more accessible. And we've been partnering with the Arts Council for quite some time now. The Arts Council brought online on Google Arts and Culture their art collection in 2014. And so when we talk about this initiative, it felt like a very, very important and also a very natural thing that we should have teamed up on. We started discussing how can we make cultural organization, as we said, more resilient. How can we empower people in cultural organizations with more skills in the digital space to advance their careers, to grow their business, to come up with new initiatives online. And so we started this initiative together with just 2 workshops. We thought, okay, let's give it a try. Let's try out how can this look. So we started with 2 workshops, as we said, in Manchester and Bristol. We also teamed up with 2 initiatives at Google, Grow with Google and Google Digital Garage, that work in building skills for anyone that wants to create opportunities in the digital space. So these 2 workshops sold out within an hour. and over 140 professionals from very diverse cultural organizations came over and participated and gave very good feedback. So we are very excited, and we continue being very excited because we want to grow this partnership farther out for the next 2 years. We are going to continue working on these workshops. We're going to bring 12 more workshops all around the countries, in cities, in towns, and in rural areas, so that more people from all sorts of different backgrounds can participate, all sorts of different expertise, all sorts of different people can come together and grow their skills in the cultural space. So we are very, very excited about this. We feel this is a very, very important next step, but also we want to believe this is just one of the many more steps that we want to take together with the Arts Council. So I'd like to say a special thanks to all the tech champions that facilitated these 2 workshops back then, and are going to facilitate many more workshops coming up. I'd like to say also a special thanks to everyone at the Arts Council that have been collaborating, working very, very hard on this initiative. In particular, I'd like to say thank you to Tina Hill, Ben Lane, Owen Hoplin, Paul Holmes, and Rose Marflit that have been working very, very hard on this project. So please let's congratulate them and give them a warm round of applause. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Louisella. So we're going to pause for a moment and just show a video while we get our guests ready for the conversation. And the video is a case study showing the type of work that's happening in the sector at the moment and how the Digital Culture Network and the tech champions can come alongside to kind of enhance the work that's happening.
So I'm Caroline Schreiber, and I'm the Director of Communications at The Place. The Place is a driving force for contemporary dance in the UK and worldwide. We have a really wonderful art form that lends itself really, really well to digital content, to really get inside the studios and reveal a bit of magic. Talking to our audience more and more and listening to them, we're able to update our content and really refine what we're showing them, and the response has been really, really great. So for example, this time last year we released a whole load of content, video content for recruitment to try and attract new students to come to the school, and out of that we worked out that some things worked much better than others, and in fact we were quite surprised to see that full-length classes of over an hour-long videos that are hardly edited at all were much more engaging and better received than, say, an interview with a teacher or an interview with a student. This morning we were experimenting with live streaming of a full class, and people were really, really loving it and thanking us for sharing literally what happens in the studios, and it was really lovely to see that engagement. So one of the things that we did to enable us to really be reactive and proactive in terms of our digital content is that we've actually changed the makeup of the team a little bit. We've reshuffled the responsibilities and made it everyone's job to look at digital. So we're looking at it constantly. We have weekly KPIs, and we're really monitoring things quite closely, so we're able to react very quickly to that. Digital is fun, and it's not scary, and none of us are experts in any of it, but we kind of love to get underneath the skin of everything and work out what works and what doesn't. So from our point of view, it was really amazing validation to start with, to have first of all a forum of people talking about digital content and us sharing practices and saying, okay, what are you doing, and having you guys as champions, and for us to realize that actually what we're doing is probably quite good. That in itself was really empowering, because we're in the arts, but sometimes we're in a bit of a bubble, we talk to each other a lot, but actually having the kind of digital champions, people who know what they're talking about, also bringing that expertise from different sectors, the commercial sector as well, and that kind of broader view, that was really, really useful for us to give us the confidence to carry on. Because ultimately what we're trying to do is translate the amazing activity that's happening throughout the building into something that can reach more people. So it's about a wider reach, and it's about getting to the right people, the people who want to actually hear or view our content.
Okay, so now I'd like to welcome another colleague to the stage, Neil Darlison, Director of UK Theatre, who will be sharing a conversation with Camilla Stewart, Head of Commercial Programmes and Collection Partnerships at Art UK, Izzy Clary, Marketing Manager, Spitalfields Music, and Emma Roberts, one of the tech champions based in London with a specialism in e-commerce. And Neil's going to, and the panel are going to talk about the opportunities that are available for the sector and some of the work that's happening at the moment. Neil, over to you.
Good. Thank you very much, everybody. Can everybody hear me? Yep, very good. Okay, well, welcome along to the this last part of today's session. And we're going to look at some real live examples of where the tech champions at the Arts Council have actually made some interventions and started organisations on their digital journey, as we say at the Arts Council now. So, but we have a real live tech champion with us in front of you today, and this is Emma. And I thought it might be really useful, Emma, because Francis referenced the fact that in fact all of the tech champions are from outside the arts, and certainly outside the Arts Council. Could you tell us just a little bit about where you came from and what you were doing and what your job is as a tech champion at the Arts Council?
Yeah, sure. So my name's Emma. I am the tech champion in the London region. My background is actually working in the commercial sector, working for Universal Music. So working on a variety of like album campaigns for emerging artists to some heritage acts. And it's really about understanding what does that online audience look like to engage with younger audiences as well as that older demographic audience. I think where the sort of skill comes in with helping with the arts and culture sector is taking some of that learning that we kind of live and thrive every day in the commercial sector and really kind of bringing it to the arts and culture sector. So whether it's looking at a campaign and really evaluating what does work, where should we put our time and resource, is it the right effort to be using Facebook marketing if that's not particularly working. My background is in e-commerce and merchandising, so I've worked with Camilla already at the Art UK, just kind of working out what the user journey looks like, because we all need to be focusing on what does that mobile view look like to fans or communities wanting to associate themselves with your brand. So
Great.
That's a little bit about.
So yeah, and you've been working with Camilla, and Camilla is from Art UK. Can you just give us 60 seconds of what Art UK does?
60 seconds on
Yeah.
Art UK, right, I better speak fast. We started off digitising artworks in the early 2000s with the intention that we would publish these as a series of books, every oil painting in public ownership in the UK by county, so Birmingham or South Yorkshire. Towards the late, or sort of around 2009, 2010, it was very clear that this was really a digital project because collections never stay static. Obviously, collections rebrand, they change their names, they acquire new artworks. And we went into partnership with the BBC to launch a platform called Your Paintings in 2011, which showed the entire collection of the UK's oil paintings on a single platform. We worked very successfully with the BBC for 4 or 5 years and learnt a lot, particularly about how to make the content interesting, how to tell the stories around the artworks. Your Paintings platform was a little bit cumbersome. We couldn't be as agile as we wanted to, and we relaunched as Art UK in 2016. And Art UK shows artworks from over 3,000 collections, principally oil paintings, but through our HLF-funded sculpture digitisation programme, increasingly we're showing the UK sculpture collection and also prints, drawings and watercolours. We run a number of shared resources around Art UK as well, so we have an art detective platform whereby collections can pool their resources around questions of attribution and identity around artworks that might be in their collection. And we also run an e-commerce platform for collections to generate revenue from their artworks.
Great. So And it was that you were working with Art UK on, wasn't it? So can you tell us a little bit about how that started and what the Tech Champion at the Arts Council did to help you kind of focus, particularly the e-commerce, I think, wasn't it?
It was particularly with e-commerce that we had Emma's help, yes. So we obviously had all the artwork assets, and it seemed a no-brainer to be able to monetize these assets for collections. So we worked with a supplier to build an e-commerce platform. We have gradually signed up collections to the e-commerce platform for print-on-demand, image licensing and merchandise sales. The e-commerce platform has already evolved through 2 iterations from a pilot into a fully blown platform, and we're constantly striving to improve it. So we have 43 collections signed up to the e-commerce platform at the moment, and it's really important to them, to us, that the money that we're maximising the revenue we're generating from the e-commerce platform to go back to collections. So Emma came to help us. She looked at the user journey. She looked at various strategies for online selling, where we could upsell through the process, for example, and a number of she basically spent an afternoon with us going through everything page by page, and then sent a wonderful PDF document with lots and lots of ideas for how we improve going forwards. So yeah, very, very valuable work so far.
And when you contacted Emma, or however the first meeting came about, did you know what area you wanted wanted some help with, or was it Emma came, you had a conversation, and priorities emerged?
Probably a bit of both. We know there are areas we can improve, but we have very, very finite resources, and technical development is expensive. So knowing where to put our money to best effect, the input Emma had into that was really, really key for us.
And how did you go about that? Did you go into the organisation and go through everything, or give it a thorough MOT, or could you immediately did you immediately see where there might need to be some concentration of resources?
Yeah, I think it goes about with that experience of when you're looking at that user journey yourself, and I think it's having that new fresh pair of eyes looking at an organisation. I think even like the messaging about what Art UK does and what it does, and it's like, is that really is that obvious to most people? So I think from looking at the website, it was just really understanding, if I go here, once you're in the, you've got people at the product pages, are you making sure that they're almost on like autopilot to go through to checkout? Are there any of those pain points, and trying to iron out those? Because the minute you do have a pain point and someone kind of either loses track, or they get jumped out of that page, people aren't necessarily going to come back to you. And if you have a really bad user journey in the payment, or it crashes, or there isn't a Apple Pay, for example, which is something that everyone's really popular with, it's just making sure that your user journey is as seamless as the last excellent user journey.
Yeah, what do you call it? A pain point?
Pain points,
okay.
Yes.
Right.
So those roadblocks you get when you're about to put payment through and maybe it crashes, and then you go, you need to go to a competitor. So it's making sure that all of our organisations are making sure that they are testing and reviewing and making sure that they're optimising their user journey so they have the best experience with these organisations.
And what you were saying when we were having the chat beforehand is that you don't need to have all your ducks in the row. When you went in, you were looking at an organisation saying, you don't need to do that yet. This is what could be more important for you. This is where you need to concentrate your resources and your efforts.
Yeah, when we did the Google Day, I think there was a few organisations saying, I've got this whole long list now where I've got to start implementing, and it was like 2 pages long, and they were panicking, going, I don't know where to start. And it was almost like, I think it's probably fair to say most tech champions here is look at like 3 or 4 that you can like really easily implement, and don't worry that there's like 2 pages of it, and really kind of make sure that you're doing the basics as best as ability, so you're building upon your like digital platform. So if you do something really innovative, at least you've got like a really great mobile optimized website, and you're making sure that user journey is seamless. So.
And you've been working with Emma for about 2.5 months?
Yeah, for about 2 months, I think. And it's ongoing as well, so Emma is constantly sending me things. Oh, have you seen this? Have you seen this? So it's a really nice dialogue, because we're constantly in discussion with collections as well. And we're communicating some of this to collections. So collections help to govern Art UK through a series of steering panels, and these are some of the digital representatives in museums and galleries across the country. And we can bring this learning to those steering panels as well and help to disseminate it. So I'm very, very, very grateful for the ongoing, the email. What's she got to show me now?
I'll keep sending them.
Whereas you, Izzy, from Spitalfields Music, have been working just recently, about a month, is it?
Yeah, and I seem to have worked my way around most of the champions, which is great, because they're a very close-knit network. So I started off having about an hour-long chat with Emma, where we kind of scoped out where I was personally with my digital skills, or also lack thereof, and also where our organisation is at. So it's really helpful that the champions talk to you personally, and we sort of set out objectives for where we wanted to get to. And we would like to develop a new website. So then Emma set me up with Roberta, and again I had a good talk with her. And then I've also been speaking with James about Google Analytics, and also Saeed about SEO. So like I said, I've really kind of worked my way around everyone. But it's really brilliant because everyone takes on a really personal approach. For example, James has actually accessed our Google Analytics account, and so he can actually see our live data and then provide a real sort of goalpost for where we can be going towards. So it's been really helpful.
And did you know what you wanted? Did you go in to talk to Emma about a new website? Or
Yeah, so it started off with a new website, and then from that, obviously, you got to then think about SEO, and then you got to be thinking about how your current website is working, so therefore Google Analytics comes into that. So it's all very linked.
Right, okay. And SEO is search engine optimization, for those that you don't know that, but I can't imagine there's anybody here that doesn't know that. And did that take long to work through? I mean, that would have been sort of, again, concentrating where you spend your resources, but I assume you'd never set up a website before, or...
No, so this
quite.
is where it's been really helpful. So I'd got so far with a certain supplier, and they'd given us a quote, but it's hard when you've never done it before to know whether that's a good amount of money to be spending, and that's something that Roberta's really been helping with. So she's provided a great template of actually even how to write a brief in the first place, because again, it's nothing I've done before, and then who to approach, and I had suggested a list of suppliers, and it's just been really helpful to get an idea, of how much you should be spending for that sort of thing, and the best way of going about it.
I mean, it can be a bottomless pit, can't it?
It can,
this,
yeah.
This world of finance, yeah. And what part then did you play? What came out of the conversation, did you think, that was worth pursuing with Izzy?
Yeah, I think it was just working out as a infrastructure in an organisation, like what does that look like, and what areas could we help you in? And I think it was talking about website, but then it was like, okay, that's website. How much do you know about Google Analytics? And you were like, oh, we've got Google Analytics, I know roughly what to do, and I think James has been really pivotal of working out like a Google dashboard for you, so you can just go on and get some true insights on what's going on. I think it's just working out, like you said, like the 3 key points, what do we want to focus on, because we can't be looking at 3 different areas, although we are with you. But yeah, it's really having that kind of want and need to want to be looking into that, and you've been great, and will champion you, but it's been nice to have to see some change, and maybe digital isn't a kind of scary word for you now, and we're able to help, and it's great that we'll have online resources to help others as well if we don't have that one-to-one support.
Yeah, and there have been some really quick fixes I found. So when I was talking to Saeed, who's talking about SEO, and he's given me a really useful template. So I found that often if I'm thinking of a news or a blog for the website, I'm often thinking about my personal sales targets. So I'll be thinking, okay, well, I need to interview that artist because they're featuring in that event, and then I'll share it on social media. But then I haven't really gone the step further and thinking about how that can help drive traffic to our website and our organisation as a whole. And so it's kind of just adding another layer to our sort of digital strategy, which is really helpful.
And do you have an idea of what you might do next then? How you might, because you're working on 3 different projects, did you say?
Well, they sort of all interlink. So the main big project is the website.
Right.
So we're still sort of at the stage where I'm approaching designers, and yeah, so that will be the biggest project, the most time-consuming.
And what will be what's your expectation of the relationship now going forward with Emma? You've got your brief, and you're out to tender, are you? Or? Yeah. So what would your expectation be now? How would you kind of interact with the tech champion from here on in?
Well, they're very hands-on and very helpful.
Right. Yes, it sounds like they're going to contact you rather than...
Yeah, well, it is. I think it's kind of what you want from it as well, I found. I feel like I've had quite a sort of hands-on approach. But I think it can be what you want from it, and that's what's really brilliant about the scheme, is it's all very bespoke and very personal to the needs of your organisation, to the resources in your organisation.
I think that's true, and also, and Emma mentioned this herself, but coming from outside the sector as well, so very hands-on with that fresh perspective, which for us has been really helpful, particularly looking at the e-commerce side of things. But we are also seeking further support from different tech champions around content development, around just constantly improving the user journey across the main Art UK site, across the shop, across the Art Detective platforms, and it's just a fantastic resource to have.
Yeah, because as somebody was saying, I think in the drinks reception earlier, often the Arts Council is asking you to do things for us, and whereas this one is where we will, or where the Arts Council will definitely help out an organisation which feels a little bit hesitant digitally or with technology, or doesn't quite know where to start, or as Izzy said, what does a sensible tender for a website look like, and what's a sensible cost, and it may well be that you say, Emma, well, that's not the first thing you should be thinking about. Is that right?
Yeah, I think it's looking at having an overall cost benchmarking on things and knowing what time and resource, and is that the effective approach to whatever you're wanting to do in a campaign or for your organisation, or trying to encourage digital innovation within these organisations that we really want to harness and encourage.
And I know it's still early days, but is there any common themes coming up with the organisations that you've been dealing with, where you could, there's recurring problems or recurring questions?
I think overall, a lot of social media. Hayden's our social media tech champions. There's a lot of social media, are we posting the correct content? There's a lot about video content. If we're spending a lot on video content, are we making sure that we're engaging, and are we making sure that we are kind of tagging things correctly so your content can be found? I think a lot of it is to do with general digital strategy, where do we start? Which is absolutely fine, because that's what we're here to start with, and it's getting organisations more focused into which area they need to start with.
Great. Okay.
I think there's the work that you're doing around and the things that we think about as well in terms of sharing the infrastructure, sharing the learning, and I'm sure that as time goes on that will come through as a theme, and it's something that the sector as a whole is very good at doing. I have never I think when you come from outside the sector, you're quite surprised at how generous and open with information the museums and culture sector is in the UK, and I think the DCN is just another extension of that going forward, and so it's all very valuable.
And it also would be nice to kind of share best practice within organisations, because some of them are doing amazing work. So it's really to kind of champion some of our actual portfolio who are already doing well, and we can have that peer-to-peer learning, which I think is really important.
And do we have a plan to do that, or?
We have a portal that will be going live. Can I say that when it's going live? September TBC, which will have online resources, events or workshops, etc. But a bit of video case studies. So we're doing one for Art UK. We recently did one for Studio Voltaire. And there was an example earlier of The Place. So really kind of showcasing what does digital transformation look like for all the different art forms. So there'll be a lot of that, and peer-to-peer learning workshops that we'll look to encourage to do.
Great. Well, look, thanks very much for sharing that with us. I mean, I hope that put shed some light on some practical light and examples on what the tech champions do and what the organisations have got out of it. It's a bewildering area for those of us that aren't digitally native. And there is no question that is out of bounds, particularly, which is why we wanted to just show you what actually the practical examples are of organisations that have engaged with the tech champions, and what sort of difficulties they've managed to overcome, even in these first formative months. We're going to be around afterwards, as are all the tech champions and Izzy and Camilla. So if you've got any questions, then please do grab us in the foyer later on. But thanks for listening.